Welcome back, pre-algebra. We are in lesson 51. We're going to talk about the decimal part of a number. We've already talked about the fraction part of a number. Now we're going to work problems where it's asking you for the decimal. So let's start with 51.1. You kind of already know how to work these. We just need to talk about the format a little bit. So 51.1 says, what decimal part, that's supposed to be a P, I promise, of 240 is 90. So it's telling us right away that the answer is supposed to be a decimal. All right, so let's use the variable d to represent the decimal, and of is going to be times 240, and is equal, and then 90 is the result. So it's 240 times d, so 240 d equals 90, and we need to have a decimal. So we're going to divide both sides by 240. And instead of keeping it as a fraction, this would be d, and that would be equal 9 over 24. And we know that 9 over 24 can be reduced by 3 because 9 is 3 times 3, and 24 is going to be 3 times 8. So it's going to be d is equal to 3 over 8. What we can do, we want to have a decimal as our response. So let me open my calculator. And we'll use it to check our work. All right, so we want to get the decimal, so we have to have 3 divided by 8. So we're going to have 3.0, and we are going to divide that by 8. So we can't put 8 into 3, but we can put 8 into 30. So 8 times 3 is 24. Okay, 30 minus 24 is 6. We bring down another 0. 8 into 60 is going to be 7. 7 times 8 is 56. And we need another 0. 60 minus 56 is 4. Bring down this other 0. 8 into 40 goes 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. When we subtract, we get no remainder. So the decimal 3 over 8 is actually 0.375. And that would be the answer that we're looking for. So when it says what fractional part, we stop at the fraction. But when it says what decimal part, we go ahead and divide that fraction. And if you reduce the fraction, then it's a whole lot easier to divide. And I'm going to check our work by doing the same thing here on the calculator. I'm going to say 3 divided by 8 is equal to 0.375. So that means my answer is correct. All right, so let's do 51.2. All right, 51.2 says 4/10 of what number is 72? All right, so we can write 4/10 two ways. We can write it as a fraction, or we can write it as a decimal. As a decimal, it looks like this. Of would be multiplication. What number would be the variable n, and the answer would be 72. So basically, 0.4 times n is equal to 72. Now here's the problem. When we have a decimal times this, what we need to do is we need to divide by this decimal number. So when I do this and I do this, I get that n is going to be equal to 72 divided by 0.4. That's going to be a pretty big number. So let's do this, okay? 72 divided by 0.4. So what we have to do is we have to move this decimal back 1, And we have to take this and move this decimal back 1. So that's going to be a 0. So let's put the 0 up here, or the decimal up here, and then let's add a couple zeros just in case we need them. And then let's start dividing by 4. 4 goes into 7 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. We bring down the 3. 4 goes into 32 8 times. 8 times 4 is 32. We have a 0 remainder, but we still have another 0. 4 goes into 0. 0 times 4 is 0. No remainder. And we don't need to pull down any more numbers because we're at the decimal. So n is equal to 180. That is our answer. All right, we can check that with the calculator, and we can say 72 divided by 0.4 is equal to 180. So we got the right answer right here. One more, just to make sure we have exhausted every possibility of how to work this. 51.3 says 4/10 of 72 is what number? So again, 4/10 is going to be 0.4. Of is multiplication. 72 is 72. Is equal, and what number is n? So now we're going to multiply 72 by 0.4. So 0.4 times 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 7 is 28. We have one decimal place, so we bring that one decimal place in. So 28.8 is equal to n. That is the what number that we were looking for. So let's check our work on the calculator, and we're going to say 0.4 times 72 is equal to 28.8. So that is the correct answer. And that is how we would solve it. All right, and that's all we have for lesson 51. That's all of the example problems. If you have any questions about how to do these problems, please feel free to ask. And that's all I have for 51. I will see you in lesson 52.